What's up, everybody? Redneck Einstein here, playing Kerbal Space Program. This is a time-lapse video showing you how to get to MOHO in the career mode of version 0.24 KSP. I've had a number of requests to produce this, so in this video, I'll be showing you how to get there. Just some last-minute modifications to my rocket to give it a bit more fuel for the journey. As you can see, we've got about 14,000 Delta V. And off we go with the launch procedure. Now, we have a little weird guy who is no one I really know. I've never used him before. Tom the Kerman flying our rocket. And let's see if he does a good job. Alright, so a little bit of information about MOHO. MOHO is the innermost planet of the Kerbal star system, and so that means it's closest to the sun. That kind of means you get a lot of gravitational effects from the sun when approaching it. Meaning, if you don't adjust your trajectory just right when you get your approach to it, you can experience a lot of gravitational pull from the sun, causing you to run out of delta V, basically. It's basically an analog of Mercury in our solar system. It kind of resembles Dres and Elu, lacks an atmosphere, and doesn't have any satellites. And it's got a weird kind of orbit as well, which you're going to need to combat. So I'll talk about that a bit more in a few moments. First of all, what you need to do is obviously escape Kerbin. You're going to need an escape velocity. It's usually, I think it's around 3,000 meters per second, but you'll see when we get there. It's about maybe 3,200, 3,300 meters per second. So you can see, just to escape the effects of gravity on your ship requires a lot of delta V. So, as I said, this is a time-lapsed video. Had it not been time-lapsed, the video would have been well over 26, 27 minutes long. And it would be very difficult to hold your attention for that long. So I'm just being honest with you. I've had to adjust it this way. So this is how you adjust your angle of approach, shall we say. You need to drag on those purple and pink indicators there, and they will help you reduce the angle or the orbit, the eccentricity of the orbit, from about 7.1, 7.2 degrees. Try to get it as close to 0 degrees as possible. Once you've done that, that means you're kind of flying in the same sort of eccentricity of orbit as MOHO, meaning it's easier to create an encounter. So at this stage, we just needed to continue to adjust our eccentricity of our orbit. Make sure we get as close to 0 as possible. 0.1, sometimes 0.2 is not too difficult, but you have to really try and be very precise with your timings where it says estimated burn and node in T. If you can get your estimated burn to be about double of the node in T, so effectively let's say for here 1 minute 5 seconds, if you can get it to about 36, 37 seconds node in T, then you'll do half your burn before you get to the point where you're going to perform your maneuver, and you'll do half your burn after the point you've got to your maneuver point. And that sort of alleviates any inaccuracies as much as possible. It's basically a more efficient way of performing these maneuvers. So we've done that. Now we just need to get our rocket all the way around to the point where we're going to begin altering our orbital direction. So basically what we're doing now is trying to get an encounter with MOHO. And by encounter, I mean that you're being influenced by its gravity. You get close enough to it in order to be sucked into its gravity, rather than continuously orbiting the sun, without actually getting to the planet. So just needed to do a few little modifications here. It can be a bit tricky. This is kind of the thing that takes up the longest time, hence why I've time-lapsed the video. You could mess around with this for ages trying to get the perfect approach and everything. What I usually try to do is overcompensate, give myself a bit of extra fuel so I don't need to be too precise. But for any of you who are out there and you like to be really precise, this is a cool way of doing it. At this point, I really experienced a lot of difficulties. I don't know if it's the game engine or what, but sometimes it makes it very difficult for you to click on that blue trajectory line. For some reason it wants you to click on the purple one instead, so I needed to mess around a lot, changing the angle of angle at which I'm looking at it, and try and get it so that blue little blob comes on the screen and enables me to add a maneuver. So there we go. We can add a maneuver in like 1 minute or so, but it took ages just trying to correct this. So like I said, that's why the time lapse is there. So but at this point in my mission, what I'm trying to do is alter my approach to MOHO in order to get as close as possible to experience maximum amount of gravity from it, so I don't need to use as much fuel or as much delta V in order to slow down and create a periapsis or create an orbit around MOHO. You might find on your first few tries that you'll be approaching this encounter with MOHO, or once you're affected by MOHO's gravity, indicated by the blue and orange lines there, that you'll be approaching that at about 4,000 or 5,000 meters per second, and that can be really difficult to overcome at this stage. You might not have enough delta V left in your rocket to perform that. So by getting closer to it, getting closer to the planet, like I said, you're experiencing more gravity from it. Hence, your ship slows down more naturally because of the gravitational effect, rather than you having to use lots of delta V from your rocket. So again, that's what I'm trying to do here. Just get that as much as possible, and then once you are under the influence of the planet, like I am here, then you can create another maneuver, which basically you're going to need to reduce the speed of your rocket so it doesn't go whizzing past and out into the solar system again. In order to, so you want to reduce your speed of your rocket in order to get that orbit around MOHO. So that's what you're seeing here. As you can see, I need about 3,200 meters per second delta V change. And I've got over 5,000 delta V left. So I was confident that I'd still have enough delta V once I'm close enough to the planet to slow down my slow down my rocket above the surface of the planet and actually get a landing. So that's what you're aiming for. You need enough delta V once you get to this point to slow down your rocket, get that orbit, and then you can start thinking about getting the landing. Now this in itself was a huge burn because I'm using a sort of super efficient rocket. This tiny little, I can't remember the name of it, LV something, tiny little rocket it is, that doesn't have much thrust, and hence took a long time for the 3,200 meters per second burn that I needed to do. Again, another reason for the time lapse. There we go. So this is my point above MOHO. So I'm trying to see if there's any science data I can get. Nope, there isn't. As you can see, it looks like I'm going to land on MOHO in the dark side of it, which is not something I wanted to do. So I changed my maneuver in order to get it to land in the light side. If you want to do it in the dark side, it's going to be very difficult to land because you can't really see where the ground is, basically. So I've changed the eccentricity of my orbit in order to land on the surface of MOHO. It didn't require too much delta V. Again, it looked like I had plenty in reserve. Still got over 1,800 meters per second. And I knew this was not going to be a return trip. I did want to make it manned, purely because I can get more science data. Obviously, in real life, ethical considerations would suggest that you would not be allowed to leave your Kerbin or human on the planet. Can't imagine Neil Armstrong or anyone going to Mercury and being left there by NASA. No, I don't think that would happen. So here we go. As you can see, I'm getting my descent onto the planet. This is the smallest little rocket I can build pretty much at the moment. I'm retracting my solar panels in order to not make them rip off or anything in the descent. Tom Kerman's looking a bit wobbly, but he got there. And there we go. We're starting to approach the planet. And this is a good way of getting loads of science data from your in your career mode. So I've tried to get to all the planets. If you haven't checked out my previous videos, do take a look. I've got videos on how to get to Gilly and Ike and Duna, obviously the Moon and Minmus. But here we go. So this is just carefully, slowly lowering down my rocket, controlling the thrusters, using the shift and control keys. Try to land safely without blowing up. Usually about 6 meters per second or less you want to be landing at. And now I just go ahead and do some science. Keep all the data, beam it back. I've got solar panels on there and rechargeable batteries so I can actually send the information back without running out of electric charge. Prior to this mission, I had to do a couple of missions in order to get more science points to unlock solar panels and stuff, because they weren't available in my previous video. And here I am planting the flag. So anyway, guys, got to get my guy back on board. And you'll notice I haven't taken the temperature or anything like that, but that's something you might want to do to get more science points. And that's very close to the end of my video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Bye-bye.